This is decimation, this is animal control. No negotiation, I'm breaking every code. This is detonation, yeah, I'm burning through the mold. No hesitation, just the fire in my soul.
Yeah, drip, drip, red sparks in the wires, voices in the static, ghosts in the fire, blood in the machine, can you hear it scream? Metal with a heartbeat, caught inside a dream. Circuits cut veins, code runs cold, digital demons in the system I hold, satellite shadows, orbit of despair, try to patch the signal but the virus is there. Overload in the lines, I see dead data come alive every time. Skyscraper graves, neon tombs in the street, every heartbeat echoes with the pulse of defeat. Plug me in, tear me out, where's the line I cross? Every win feels like blood, every game feels like loss. I'm trapped in the network, bound by the stream, and my man a machine or a ghost in between. Blood in the machine. Yeah, angels fall, but they land in code. Demons crawl through the mother load. Astral service on the screen.
All set up here. Click a few buttons. And there's me. All right. Everything's sounding good. Let me do a test here. Music. Everything's up and up. There's me. Oh yeah, sounds perfect. All right. Well, good morning. So I've been messing around with a few podcasts lately, or a few live things. Trying to get this all figured out and set up. Reason I want to do it something like this is I wake up every morning. I wake up, the first thing I do is I always check the news. or anybody that knows me, I'm not super. I don't want to say this. I'm not super into getting involved with politics, but I like to stay informed about them, and also just the latest news going around the world. Um, so every morning I get up, I always read through kind of my different feeds and all the kind of the top news around the world. So I figure, why not stream it? I'm sure others wouldn't mind hearing about it too. So, but I got my coffee. I got my new mic set up. My mic's going out, and it's no longer picking up my voice from where it was. So I had to basically bring it right up into my face. So it's time for a new mic. But basically, what I do is I just pull up every article I find interesting, and everything from news on Epstein to news on Trump to stuff about Naruto or upcoming movies. I watch trailers, just all that. So if you're interested in joining me for this one, do so. But I really don't feel like the first thing being about freaking Epstein. It's all just a kind of a waste of time right now because nothing really is coming out. But there might be a few things. I know there's an article that I was interested in about. I saw something about some of the victims might be coming out for it, so we'll get to that. But right now, I wanted to see what the hell this was about. As Naruto says, or this says, Game Rant says, Naruto's officially returning with a new anime. So let's see exactly. Naruto's 4 special episodes have finally been completed. I know there was a thing, I don't know, I heard about it a few years ago, I think, where they were going to like completely remake the fight from Naruto, the first fight between Sasuke and Naruto. I don't know, maybe they did it, I don't know. Let's see here. 4 special episodes of Naruto have been reportedly completed. As recent news has revealed, this is huge, as this extra content has been in the works since 2023. These episodes are supposed to drop in 2023 for Naruto's 20th anniversary, but obviously that never happened. This upset many fans, but nevertheless, these episodes are finally done. Now fans are just waiting for the Naruto episode. I'm guessing this is what I just mentioned. Yeah. Probably. This anime will transport them back to the events before Shippuden took place. Yeah. Boruto is terrible. Okay, so no information. But like I said, I'm pretty sure this is just it's not new episodes as much as it is just like, reanimating what was already made. So I'm almost positive this is the battle between Sasuke and Naruto. Which, don't get me wrong, if it's, if it looks better, just for fun, I'd watch it. I can't say I'm super excited about it. Me personally, when it comes to Naruto, what I want the most is I would like to see the Kai treatment that Dragon Ball got. Like Naruto is wonderful, but man, the filler is egregious. There's so much filler. I would love to see, an animation bump. I would like to see maybe even some redubbing here and there, but I would love to see it just chopped up and cleaned up. Get rid of the unnecessary filler. Not just the filler episodes, but they got those shots where the camera just panning across the village or panning up somebody, Honestly, it just doesn't need to be there. Sometimes, yes, it builds tension, but a lot of that is just padding. And especially early on in Naruto, there's just a lot of it just gets dragged out. And that can turn off some people. But I would love to see a Kai treatment. Just go through the whole thing, up the animation, and really just cut the BS out. I'd actually rewatch that in a heartbeat. So, here, let's let's jump over to here. I don't want to mess with Epstein again just yet. I just saw this list by Screen Rant also. Is like Naruto fights are better than Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Balls for these 8 reasons. So, Jesus, these ads, man. Naruto fights are brutal. Dragon Ball fights don't have the same consequences. That is true. If you die in Naruto, you're for the most part, you're pretty much gone, with a few exceptions. Naruto's fights have better choreography. Hand-to-hand battles are top tier. You know, I will agree 100%. Like, if you watch Dragon Ball Z fights, it's when they actually are punching each other, if you frame by frame, it's just the same, like, repeated attacks over and over again. Like, they're not connecting. They're not doing anything. It's just this quick little back and forth animation. It looks good in that with the speed and the colors and the lights. But really, when you step by step it's literally the same few frames repeated over and over. It's not very good. Whereas Naruto does that too. But especially in like Shippuden, the fights do get a lot better. Like these punches and kicks they're connecting. They look good. So, well, that's not fair. Naruto does have better animation, but they're separated by 20 plus years. So, now I will say this. Now, if we're talking about Dragon Ball Super, first Naruto Shippuden, I would give it to Shippuden, because Dragon Ball Super, at least early on, man, it looked ugly. It looked very ugly. Like, there was, let's do animation. See if we can find it, because it was, like, this is, like, from the anime, man. There was one when he was in Super Saiyan 3. Yeah, stuff like this. But there was one when he was in Super Saiyan 3. It just looked, well, let's type in the word awful and see if that changes anything. I remember seeing this. But they did make some fixes to it. Damn, I can't find the one. There was one that was really, really, really bad, though. Damn, is that really from the animation? I don't know. It's kind of... I know the movie, like if you watch the movie looks good, but when it came down to the actual episodes and the animation, it was pretty bad. Naruto's fights have amazing twists. You know, yes, I definitely agree with that. Dragon Ball, it is straightforward. It's not, you know, I always relate Dragon Ball to kind of like Godzilla vs. King Kong, you know, or like Pacific Rim or something like that, you know. You're not watching for the great storylines. You're literally just watching, you know, big monkey punch big lizard. And for Dragon Ball, that's really what you'll end up doing. It's just the new transformations, the new, you know, the new forms, new colors of hair, new fusions. That's all you're really after. Naruto's fights feel more grounded. You know, yes and no. So Naruto starts off, I would say, grounded at least within its own lore. But then later on, it starts to get very over the top. It starts to get, you know, Dragon Ball-esque. And in fact, I mean, there's an argument to be made that end of series characters like Naruto and Sasuke and whatnot could actually compete against early on Dragon Ball characters. I personally think that it's hard to judge power levels, and I know it's a touchy subject from Dragon Ball Z. Maybe one day I'll do a whole video on that, because that's something I'm kind of passionate about. But I think that like end of series Naruto would be at least a formidable opponent in the Saiyan saga. I think he could put up a very good fight against Goku and Vegeta. I know people say like, "Oh, but Roshi in Dragon Ball, he blew up the moon, and that would take this amount of power, blah blah blah." But I think taking like power levels and certain attacks at face value is just, I don't know. I don't know if you can really do that. I think they're I have a theory that Roshi's been hiding his power all along, and that his attacks are way stronger than we've always thought they were. But I know there's a clip like Vegeta's father, who I think only had like a power level of maybe like 10,000. He blew up an entire planet with ease. But like, with how big the planet was in the sky, it's more like a moon. It's not that big. I clearly wasn't much effort. So I think while you can do it, I don't know how much stock is put into that. How much you can put into it. I don't know. Our levels don't make sense. They really don't. Because even Frieza, when he's in millions of power level, he does his attack and like it injures Namek, and ultimately Namek does get destroyed, but it doesn't just obliterate it when he's 1,000 times stronger than, Vegeta's dad or whoever, who could just destroy a planet. So I think it depends on the planet. I think it depends on the intentions. But either way, like Naruto, there's no planet busting feats necessarily, but there was a character who had an attack that cut the goddamn moon in half, and Naruto just tanked that attack like it was nothing. So in terms of planet busting, I think people in Narutoverse absolutely can do it. It just depends on, well, at least they're moon busting, but I don't think that should be the standard. Just because you can destroy a moon, if that attack doesn't land, what does it matter? And no character really, I don't think at any time except for maybe Frieza, where like he actually just destroys the planet on the spot as an attack, as a last ditch effort. Characters are always avoiding, even the bad guys are always avoiding destroying the planet. So I think that's silly. Their power is always way toned down and directed. So, oh my god, this is a tangent. But back to this thing. Once Naruto gets later on, like, I wouldn't say it's grounded. It gets insane. I mean, they are dealing with spirits of long dead, well, spoilers for anybody, but long dead, I guess, shinobi, or the people that were the origins of chakra. They're dealing with freaking aliens, It goes from ninjas using chakra to no, it's actually aliens using this energy. And then in Boruto it gets even crazier. It's a whole alien invasion. I mean, it's literally ninjas versus aliens is what this series could be brought down to. But man, the amount of crazy forms they take, the reality warping, just the insanity of it. It's not grounded anymore. Naruto, sure, but Shippuden, not at all. So we're dealing with way too much crap. But now Dragon Ball, I would say, is grounded and remains grounded within its lore. And I would say even compared to Naruto, Dragon Ball never changed, in my opinion. It kind of, from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, it changed. Dragon Ball was a cartoon, basically. It was silly. But once it got to Dragon Ball Z, and then into even GT and Dragon Ball Super, I think within its lore, it's grounded. They've never done anything really outside of kind of what this lore they built, whereas Naruto went way beyond that. I mean, they gave up, like, they used to have to do the hand signs and all that stuff to do a thing, jutsu, but now later on that does not happen. So death is meaningless in Dragon Ball, 100%. And this is something I think, excuse me, all the fans are upset about, really. Dragon Balls have always been a scapegoat, and it was fine at the beginning because you could be wished back one time, and that was cool. you know, then but like with Krillin, like there was this threat, like when he's dead, you know? Um, but then to find out, oh, the Namek balls can just bring you back over and over again. That's when Dragon Ball's deaths were pretty meaningless. Um, and then I don't know, with the Namek balls, you got the Earth balls, and then you got, you know, now the balls aren't attached to like Piccolo; they're attached to Dende, who typically remains relatively safe. Like there isn't much of a threat. And now I think even the Earth Dragon balls can just bring you back over and over and over again. And I think Super, I don't even know if they did kill anybody and have to wish anybody back. I don't really think they did. I think for the most part they didn't want to deal with that trope and piss people off, so I think they just said no, we just won't kill anybody. And Super itself wasn't very, I don't know, serious. It was kind of fan service more than anything. At no point did I feel like the main characters were ever really threatened. But yeah, Naruto though, that's one thing I tell people, like, get through Naruto and then get to Naruto Shippuden, because things just get so real. I mean, characters die in Dragon Ball, sure, but in Shippuden, like lots of characters die, main characters die. It gets very real, very serious. Dragon Ball's best fights involve the same characters. Naruto fight features a ton of different fighters. I mean, I don't know if that makes Naruto better, but it is enjoyable because, like, everybody I talk to, we all have our favorite characters. I love watching Rock Lee fights. I love watching Shikamaru fights. But Dragon Ball, yeah, I guess I don't really care if Krillin fights. I don't know. I care about what happens with Piccolo and Gohan and Vegeta and Goku and all these people. So I would say there might be more in Naruto, but I don't care about Choji's fights. You know, I don't care about Ino's fights. So I would say just because there's more different characters that fight and take center stage, I don't think it matters. I think Dragon Ball, there's the enemies, there's the heroes. Like, I think it balances out. Fights are meaningful in Naruto. Dragon Ball fights don't carry the same weight. Absolutely true. But again, weight is given by, well, from a good storyline. If you don't have a story, which I'm sorry, Dragon Ball never really has had a storyline. It, like, very minimal. Maybe in the background, but nothing really up front and amazing. Whereas Naruto, that's the main thing, is a story. So when a character kills another character or something happens, like, it does have way more impact. Incredibly more impact. That's it. But now, which one's better? You know, which one is a better anime? I don't think you can make that determination. I think Dragon Ball Z for its time, absolutely legendary. And I'm sorry, you wouldn't have Naruto if you didn't have Dragon Ball. You might have something similar. Maybe someone would have come up with something, but it wouldn't have had the transformations. Like, there's everything from pacing, the way fights are done, the suspense, like these transformations, like all that comes from Dragon Ball. That, like, Dragon Ball is truly legendary. I think Naruto's legendary in its own way, but to say which one's better, that's just, yeah, Naruto has a better storyline, has better animation, has better characters, fights, all this stuff. But Dragon Ball Z is amazing. I've watched Dragon Ball Z just as many times as Naruto, and it's just wonderful. But in terms of, I would say this, like, I love Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Super is fine. Dragon Ball it is what it is. But Naruto as a whole, I would say, is better than Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball as a whole. And when it comes into Super, Super's fun, but Naruto is consistent and amazing. I think, for sure. Whatever. Yeah, that one more anime thing. Shonen Jump finally has a replacement, and it isn't Boruto. Alright, let's see which one they're talking about. Ah, yeah. Kagurabachi. I haven't gotten into it yet. I think that's the one that has, let me look over here. I think, isn't it the one that just hit Netflix? Or am I thinking of, or no, I mean Crunchyroll. Hey, look here. Come on. I don't know if this is the one, but I've heard about it. I have not looked into this one yet. I know there's another one on Crunchyroll. Maybe it's this one. I don't know, but something I need to look into. Brand new story appealing to readers. Cool. I wonder what it's about. I'll tell you this right now. Boruto sucks. I hate Boruto. I started with the anime. It was horrendous. And it's just pure filler. It's 80% odd percent filler. But even the manga just wasn't that good. I would say with Twin Vortexes, it's getting there. It's still a little rough, but it's getting good. There's some good story beats, but I shouldn't say it's getting good. It's getting acceptable. How about? Page isn't available. That's really sad. All right, let's do some Epstein research here. Missing minute from Epstein jail footage revealed. I guarantee it's absolutely nothing. Oops. There's a whole lot of movement. God damn it. Okay. So nothing. Um. Yeah, so basically nothing. I mean, it's not like someone's going to get in, murder some guy by making it look like he hung himself and get out within a minute. So you know, I didn't expect to see anything within that minute. So yeah, basically a whole lot of freaking nothing, of course. Ah, this is the one. So Epstein survivors call. I think this is the one I was thinking about earlier. First batch of Epstein files released, and Trump addresses rumors surrounding its health. Okay, maybe this isn't the one. I just know I saw something about the victims. We're saying that if basically they might come out and do something. Congress released the first batch of files containing a lot of pages of records. 6 women who say they were sex trafficked by Epstein called for all the records to be released during an exclusive interview with NBC. They also urged Trump not to pardon his co-conspirator, Maxwell, who was serving a 20-year sentence. Maxwell was interviewed, denied that she saw inappropriate conduct from any of the high-profile men accused of being friendly with Epstein, including Trump. See, I could believe she never saw Trump inappropriate. I could believe she never saw this person, whatever, inappropriate. But like, I don't care who you didn't see be inappropriate. I want to know who you did see. I want some freaking names. And here's the thing though. This is, if we could just get 1 or 2 names, hey, it was this person and this person. Here's the proof. Here's the victim. The victim's giving proof. From there, you say, hey, we're going to throw you in prison for life unless you spill on a couple people. If we could just get a couple people, hopefully it would just snowball and we would get to the point where we actually can take down some of these people. All right, so again, not a whole lot of anything. Yeah, I saw this the other day. So if you don't know, there was a kid here in Texas, and he was playing Ding Dong Ditch on several people. And if you don't know what Ding Dong Ditch is, it's just where you ring your doorbell or whatever and run away. But the guy that was living in this one house, from my understanding, like, came out of that house, ran down the street shooting at these kids. There was multiple. Let's see here. The cousins ran as fast as they could, but the homeowner was waiting behind the fence in his yard. Guzman was recording the incident on his phone, showing himself knocking and running. Guzman's the boy, huh? Shots are heard on the video. There's audio of the boy gasping. Guzman's cousins told police he didn't know what to do, only what he had seen in movies, so he tried to pick him up. Oh, sad. The boys appeared as children, not threatening in any way. Guzman was wounded when police arrived at the scene and taken to the local hospital where he was pronounced dead on Sunday. Gonzalo Leon Jr., that's the shooter, has been charged with murder and booked into the Harris County Jail, according to online records. Police said Leon is a former Army veteran, was deployed and spent time in the reserves. A handgun, 20 other guns, and tactical and smoke grenades were found in the search of his home. Jesus. Looked like he might have been a collector. Police said they found Leon at a hotel in LaPorte, Texas. The packed car. Oh shit, he was trying to run, wasn't he? So here's the thing, and I had the conversation with somebody yesterday about this. Like, there was an incident where these one kids were not just knocking or ding dong ditching. They're going up to the door, like turning around, propping themselves in, like using their foot to bang the door over and over and over again. In that case, a shooting is 100% justified. Like, at that point, maybe they are just trying to be loud and they're trying to hit this door 4 or 5 times to really get your attention, to freak you out before they run away. But I don't know that. As this homeowner, as someone that needs to protect my family, to me it just looks and sounds like you're trying to break my door down. You are kicking my door repeatedly. At that point, I am 100% justified in shooting. If I see on my camera you kicking the door like this over and over and over again, I don't need to wait around and see what's going to happen. I don't need to wait and see if you break my door down and run off or what. I don't need to wait. But in terms of ding dong ditch, right? Ringing someone's doorbell and run away, that kid did not deserve to be shot. He deserved maybe a smack upside his head at best, right? I'd played ding dong ditch when I was a kid several times. I didn't deserve to be shot. Like, it's something kids do. Is it annoying? Sure. But we toilet paper people's houses or their trees. I remember when I was a kid, me and my buddy Riley, there was a deal at a grocery store for bananas. Oh, hold on. I think my headset just shut off. But there was a deal for bananas, boxes of bananas, and they were so cheap. It was like $5 for a giant box. So we bought like 4 of these things. And then we went to a friend's house and we bananaed their house. We put bananas on the roof, inside their screen door, in their mailbox, all over their yard, just everywhere. Bananas everywhere. Like, I don't deserve to be shot. I was just playing a stupid prank. I was just screwing around as a kid. So for this guy to chase this kid down, a little kid, and shoot and not just try to kill him, but the other kids as well, that's insane. So, but here is the thing though, and this is kind of advice and a warning to anybody that would want to play ding dong ditch or kick a door or banana somebody's house or give the middle finger to somebody in traffic, or confront somebody because they didn't put their cart away at Walmart. There are people out there that they don't need that much of a reason to harm you. You know, they're like, you might not be willing to shoot somebody that gave you a middle finger in traffic, right? Or run them off the road. But there are people that would. There are people that would absolutely, you give them the finger and they are just in that mood. They will shoot you. They will try to kill you. They will try to run their vehicle into you or into your car. There are people, if you ding dong dish them, they will chase you down and try to shoot you. You don't know who these people are and what stage of their life they're in or where they are or where they're at mentally. So I'm not saying you shouldn't necessarily do these things, but just understand that there's some people that don't care. They just don't care at all. And they'll ruin their life to ruin yours. So just understand it does come with a risk. Even if it's something simple like ding dong ditch or toilet papering someone's house. You know, it is simple, but it could cost you your life for sure. And that's stupid that's the case, but it is. That people are, you don't know who these people are, man. It's one thing that I always say, I watch these videos of people confronting somebody, and they'll let this person get like so close, and you know, they'll get right up next to them and be like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And they're getting in their face. Do not let people get this close to you. Just don't. Like, if someone gets close to you, you put out your arm and you say, hey, stay back, you know? And if they keep coming, lay them the fuck out. And you will be in your every right to do so. Don't let people get that close to you. I worked at a casino, and we got this guy for stealing, basically. Let's just say he was stealing. And we're escorting him off property. And the security supervisor we had, he was one of those guys that was a really close talker. You know, he's right next to you when he's talking to you. And the criminal guy, the thief, the other guys weren't watching close enough. He had a rather large knife in his pocket or in his pants. And he took out this knife and he went for the supervisor. He went straight for his face, his throat. He tried to cut him. Luckily, the supervisor saw it coming and was able to get back and get out of the way. And then the other guys grabbed him, subdued him. He was arrested. They asked this guy, like, you know, why did you do this? Why did you try to kill him? Why did you try to hurt him? And the guy that we caught, just for stealing, that's it. He stole some money from another player. That's it. And he wasn't getting, it was nothing, like, no police were getting involved. It was just, hey, you need to leave. And his response was, I just wanted to know what it would feel like to kill a cop. Granted, our security supervisor is not a cop. He was dressed in a suit. He didn't have a badge and radio and a utility belt. This guy, like, he just saw someone that was in authority and wanted to kill him. And when I worked in the casino, I'm having hundreds of interactions a night. There's thousands of people there on any given day or night. You don't know who these people are. Yes, some of them are criminals. Some of them are, you know, SAers. Some of these people have killed people and done terrible things. And they're there to gamble or have a meal or whatever else, see a show. You don't know who they are and what they might do. So, like, be very... I got a whisker that's tickling my nose. I need to trim up this facial hair, man. But you don't know who you're dealing with. So just don't let people get close to you, and just be aware that someone could go off on you for the smallest of things, you know? All right, see what's up next here. Texas AG Ken Paxton encourages student to recite Lord's Prayer in latest test of church-state separation. So, I love Texas. I think Texas is a great state. I like a lot of the things they're doing. One thing they're doing, and I would love to make a video on it, is they did a ban, not a ban, but a age verification on, like, pornographic websites. That way they can limit the amount of kids going to these websites. I love that. That is phenomenal. I love that there's so many things about Texas I love. That's why I moved here. I love Texas. I think it's great. But this right here, I don't like. I don't like this business about putting the 10 Commandments in classrooms. I don't want prayer in classrooms. Like, regardless of your beliefs, it doesn't matter what my beliefs are in terms of religion. I don't think it's okay to have something where kids are forced to be in the presence of this stuff. People have different beliefs. People have a lack of beliefs, but this is more out of respect, I think, for other beliefs. You know, if there was, I don't know that much about I guess about like Islam or the Muslim faith, whatever. But if they had some kind of prayer they say in the morning, right? Which they do have prayers. I don't know if there's a Lord's Prayer necessarily. I'm sure there is. Of course there is. They pray a lot. But if that was mandated in a classroom here in Texas or whatever else, there's no way that we would even come close to allowing that. That the teacher would have everybody roll out their prayer rug and recite this prayer. There's no way. And then you could abstain if you wanted. No, it would never fly. It never would fly. I don't think we should. The 10 Commandments should not be there. And I'm not saying the 10 Commandments are inherently like. I can't say I know them all. But let's open this up here. All right. So the 10 Commandments, and if it was like some of them, honor your father and mother. Sure, right? You shall not kill. Wonderful idea. You should not commit adultery. Kind of weird for a child to be listening to, seeing. But you shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Might need some explaining to a child. But you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Again, kind of weird. You should not covet your neighbor's goods. Sure. But some of those are fine. But it's when we get to the first ones. I am the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember to keep holy the Lord's day. That's the problem I have. Like, this is clearly the Christian God. This is clearly pushing religion with those three things. I agree to almost everything else. But that doesn't belong in a classroom, I think maybe we could have an altered 10 Commandments of sorts, but that I don't agree with. It's religion in a classroom. I don't agree with, hell, even in like Congress or whatever else, they always stand for a prayer. I don't think that should be there. It's if you want to do such a thing, go for it. Absolutely. But no. So I hope it all gets knocked down. Now I'm not against if and schools do this. So I'm from Minnesota, and whether you know or not, we have an extremely high Somali population up there. And I know schools and jobs and stuff set aside time and areas for prayer. Like when I worked at Walmart, we had built a specific area, an old office, to be a prayer room. They could store any of their prayer rugs in there, and it was a place where they could privately go when needed to pray. And that's something you'll find it's fairly common in places around Minnesota, but schools will set aside time and facilities for such a thing. That's probably not going to be, it's not going to exist in Nebraska or Colorado or Texas because there's just not that big of a Somali population. But in Minnesota, there was quite a few. So I'm fine with jobs and schools and stuff like that, creating a space for this and a time for it. Sure. But it should not be a part of the actual classroom. It should be a separate thing, completely removed, not forced, not in view unless you want to see it, basically. But just available. So I kind of want to read through this here. With the Texas law in effect allowing time for prayer and reading religious texts in public schools, Ken Paxton encouraged students to practice the Lord's Prayer as related in the King James Version of the Bible, marking the latest instance of Texas public official endorsing Christianity over other faiths. Well, that's, I don't know. As is, maybe I'm misreading this, but like, if there's allowing time for prayer, so just what I said, where say, hey, we are setting aside 15 minutes at this time. If you need to go pray, if you want to do this, you can do whatever you want. You could read a regular book. It's just your time, as long as it's not specifically like called prayer time, it's just free time. It's fine if someone wants to, like Attorney General, he could say, hey, I would love for students during this time if they would read the Bible. That is perfectly fine. That is his thing. Now, if a teacher was like, students, I have this Bible, I would prefer you read this during this time, that's where I would have an issue. But just the Attorney General, just as a passaway comment saying, yeah, I would officially endorsing Christianity, yeah, sure, that's fine. But as long as it's not in school being pushed on kids, if he showed up during this free time handing out Bibles, I wouldn't like that. U.S. Constitution prohibits states from promoting one religion over another. That's just a one man's opinion, I don't think this doesn't sound like an official capacity. But yeah, that's fine. I can call on anybody I want to do that. Texas classrooms, we want the Word of God opened, 10 Commandments displayed, and prayer lifted up. Yeah, I don't agree, but the Attorney General's endorsement of Christian prayer in Texas schools comes as he seeks to pick up more conservative support in an effort to unseat John Cornyn. It also went out just a few weeks after a federal judge found a state law requiring posting of good. Yes, that's good. I'm hoping that sticks, because it is absolutely unconstitutional. And it's just not right. So, and even if you're someone that is Christian, you should also agree that this is not okay. It doesn't belong in schools, and it doesn't belong in like a workplace. Unless it's a private business, then they can do what they want. But something like Walmart, it doesn't belong there. Any publicly traded business, basically. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if this guy wants to come out in his own capacity, and this is what he encourages people to do, that's fine. If he wants to post on Facebook or X, say, hey, I hope during prayer time, this is what you do. Or during this free time, you would do, that's fine. It's just if he was, to actually push this in any kind of legislative or rules, or actually go to the classroom. Now, if he wanted to set a time to go to the school, rent out the auditorium, and say, hey, we're going to have a class about Bible study and God and all this stuff. If you want to show up to that, go for it. And then during that time, if he says, hey, during your free time, I recommend this, all that's fine. I just don't think it should be in any way, shape, or form forced on people. All right. Appeals court blocks Trump from deporting members of Tren de Aragua gang. Well, I'm just going to say this before I even read the article. If you're an illegal immigrant and you're a part of a gang, especially if you're committing numerous crimes, get out. If you are an actual citizen and a part of this gang and committing crimes, no. If you're a citizen, you don't get deported. And I think that's probably what this is saying, but we'll see. So, federal appeals court ruled on Tuesday that the Trump administration cannot speed the deportations of migrants accused of being members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua using 18th century wartime law. In a 2-1 ruling, the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with immigrant rights lawyers and lower court judges who argued the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 was not created to be used against gangs like Tren de Aragua. The Trump administration's use of a wartime statute during peacetime to regulate immigration was rightly shut down by the court. I have a feeling that they may have ruled against it, but as it goes up, go more to the Supreme Court and whatnot, I think it'll be upheld. This is a critically important decision, reining in the administration's views that it can simply declare an emergency without oversight by the courts. The Alien Enemies Act was previously used only 3 times in U.S. history. It all came during declared wars, the War of 1812 and the 2 World Wars. The Trump administration claimed that courts cannot second-guess the president's determination, that they were connected to Venezuela's government and represented a danger to U.S. I would say no more than any other gang. A lot of gangs cause a threat, so. More than 250 of the deported migrants returned to Venezuela under a deal announced in July. The court's ruling blocks deportations from Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Majority opinion said Trump's allegations about Tren de Aragua do not meet the historic levels of national conflict that Congress intended for when the law was approved. Again, like, if you are an illegal immigrant, like, that alone, I do agree with deportation. You can't just come here. That's enough on that. If you're a part of a gang and committing crimes, like, why would anybody even fight against that person? We don't need people like that here. We don't need our own homegrown people like that here. Like, we got to stop coddling criminals. I mean, yes, people have their rights and everything else. Of course they do. But, like, at a certain point, we're just being stupid for no reason. If someone's committing these, like, I'm the type of person where if you're just a net negative to society, you're constantly attacking people, assaulting people, robbing people. You're making other people's lives miserable. And all you're doing is sitting on the street, doing drugs, drinking alcohol. You're just a piece of shit overall. You are not helping the world. You are just making people's lives miserable. We don't need you. We have billions of people on the planet. We do not need you in society. And the fact that we coddle these people. Now, if there's hope for them, if we can, rehabilitate, please do. But if it's just plain out shown that this person is beyond this rehabilitation, we don't need them. We just don't. Like, these are, they're perfect candidates for the death note. I just have no sympathy for these kind of people that make lives harder for everybody else. And if you're on the street, you're dealing drugs, you're stealing, you're killing, you're raping, everything else, assaulting, we don't need you. And if we're not just gonna kill you, if we're not gonna execute you, and it turns out you're not even supposed to be in this country, you're not here legally, like, what are we doing? Why is this going to the courts? Just get rid of them. Send them to where at least they're supposed to be and let that government deal with them. We shouldn't be dealing with this. We shouldn't be spending taxpayer money dealing with this. Get them out. Let the proper country take care of them. Let them put them in their prison systems. Let them execute whatever. Just get them out. They don't belong here. If you're a citizen, of course, but we need to start dealing with them. We have too many people, too many of these types of people. It's going to make life too hard. It's like we can't keep coddling criminals. We cannot allow this. Whatever. This is one that I think is a waste of time. I read this article last night, wanted to kind of review it this morning, but Trump's tariffs are headed to the Supreme Court after a court ruled them illegal. So many times, lower courts will rule something that Trump does illegal. Just like the last article we read, about that fucking gang. I don't remember. Tren de Aragua. I don't know how to say it. A lot of times, they're just biased. Plain and simple. Democrat type courts get a hold of it and they rule a certain way. It's over and over again. There was a one about where Trump, from that one district attorney in New York, I can't think of her name right now, Tanji Jackson. Like, they fined him like $500 million, and it was about his loans that he had gotten from the bank for supposedly overestimating the value of his properties, like Mar-a-Lago. And and they said it was fraud and everything else, and like fined him $500 million. And the thing is, the banks, with that, right? The banks know Trump's good for it, essentially. Maybe the property was overvalued, but that's the bank's job. I could go to the bank and say, hey, my property is worth $1 million. The bank is supposed to come in and say, it's not. It's only worth $200,000. So that's what we're going to give you loans based off of. They didn't do that. They took Trump at his word because ultimately it didn't matter. He was going to be able to get these loans. He was good to pay them back. Like, it really was a victimless crime. It, in my opinion, it wasn't a crime at all, but they still went after him for this and fined him $500 million. And I know the judge or whatever said Mar-a-Lago was only worth like, I don't know, 12, 15, $20 million or something like that. It's worth so much more than that. I think it's north of $100 million. It's an insanely expensive property, but the judge undervalued it by an extreme amount. And to me, that's just plain out bipartisan politics. It's malicious, and this is what the Supreme Court believed. Once it went up, the court looked at it, and I remember that I read something about the judge was like, "Yeah, this is egregious. Like, this should never have happened. Like, absolutely not." And he just, got rid of it, dismissed it outright. And Trump doesn't owe anything. It's these lower courts, unfortunately, are letting their political beliefs, I think, skew their judgments. I mean, sure, both sides do it. Of course they do. But to an extreme level, I think left side of politics, the left side judges, like they're definitely going overboard. I think whoever ruled that Trump has to pay $500 million, like that's absurd for what this is. And I think this is going to happen too. I could be wrong, but I think so. Basically, what happened was the Federal Appeals Court, we'll just read this, found that President Trump's imposition of sweeping tariffs basically exceeded his authority, and they said he can't do it. So all these tariffs he wants to do, and these reciprocal tariffs, they're saying he just can't do it. Now, they gave him till October. Can't remember. It's like October 15th or something. He has until like October 15th before this new ruling takes effect. So until that point, he can do it. I don't know if it's like blocked right now, but basically it'll go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, that time frame gives him the ability, gives him a month to actually have the Supreme Court hear this case. And I'd be willing to bet that the Supreme Court will rule in his favor. So I don't personally, right off the bat, know if the president has the ability to do this, but I'm assuming he does. Mostly because back when he was president, like 2020 and beyond, he imposed a bunch of tariffs. Or 2016 when he was president, whatever. He imposed a bunch of tariffs. These tariffs, the Biden administration upcapped. They didn't get rid of them. Nobody fought it. So they were just fine. So the president, to some extent, does have the ability to impose tariffs. So now in the way he's doing it now, that I don't know. But I do have a feeling that he is going to be able to do so. And I think once he gets to the Supreme Court, I do think they'll rule in his favor. So I think tariffs are sticking. Now, in terms of tariffs, just to kind of talk about them a little bit, a lot of people are for them, and a lot of people are adamantly against them. I have a few friends that every time I see them, that's what they complain about, is these tariffs and how awful they are. I don't know. I know that, like, during the Biden administration, they kept the tariffs, and that was a very good net positive. There's a reason they kept them. It really helped America, brought in billions and billions of dollars. So inherently, tariffs aren't bad, right? I think it's how they're used. With what Trump's doing now, I don't think he's doing tariffs to just bring in money. I think he's trying to do tariffs to get other countries to back off on theirs. That's what it seems like to me. It's kind of his way of saying, hey, you take tariffs off our products, we'll stop tariffing your products. But here's my thing. Either way, I'm against tariffs if they don't work, and I'm 100% for them if they do. And right now, I think it's too early to tell. So Sony just said, "Oh, because of tariffs, our PlayStation is going up $50." Right? Is that really because of tariffs? The damn system has been out for 5 years plus, over 5 years, and like it has not seen significant price drops, and now they're raising it. Like, I think they're just using this as an excuse to try to squeeze out some money, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. Um, I remember hearing somebody, it was a friend, they were talking about how expensive everything was getting because of these tariffs. And the ones they mentioned, I'm like, well, those haven't even taken effect yet. So what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they're blaming everything on tariffs because the media is basically talking about, you know, the cost of everything. But like, there was a lot of tariffs that hadn't even happened. He was just talking about what he wants to do. They hadn't taken effect. So therefore, the anything going up in price, like a game going up $10 and saying, "Oh, the tariffs," they hadn't taken effect. Now that's a while ago, and maybe they have now, but these gaming companies were just doing this as an excuse to raise prices. And I know I was watching I think I was watching Angry Joe, and they kind of touched on this. Games they want to charge $70. They want to charge $80. But every time they do raise the price in games, there's always pushback. And like, well, games, they were 59 if or like 49 if you bought the digital copy. Or the game would be like 59.99, if you bought the physical copy. But if you bought the digital copy, you could save $10. And most people are like, yeah, let's do digital copies. Then all of a sudden, the digital copies became $59.99 or whatever. And then we just were used to paying that amount, because of the physical copies and everything back and forth. They slowly, like frog in a boiler, in a pot, they slowly just get us used to these prices. And now when a new game comes out, it's like, yeah, I'll pay $60. That's just what a normal game costs. And now with tariffs, they're going to say, oh, hey, because of tariffs, we have to charge $70. But don't worry, that's just because of tariffs. Well, if the tariffs never take effect or they get canceled, do you think they're going to lower that price down? Absolutely not. Like, just get used to paying $70 for games. That's just where it's at right now. So, but again, if tariffs work, if they make America better, they bring in more money, they get other countries to, stop with their unfair practices, wonderful. I'm all for it. If it doesn't work, then yeah, I'm against it. I personally don't care if it's Biden, Kamala Harris, Trump. I don't care who it is. If what they do works, I'm for it. I want America to succeed. I want to be happier. I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to pay egregious amounts for things. So I don't care what anyone does as long as it works. And if it doesn't work, then get it out. But I think that's enough on tariffs. I gotta wait and see. I was curious about this one. U.S. military kills 11 people in strike. Get out of here. An alleged drug boat from Venezuela. The U.S. military killed 11 people on Tuesday in a strike on a vessel from Venezuela, allegedly carrying illegal narcotics. Trump said in the first known operation since his administration's recent deployment of warships in the southern Caribbean. We just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat. A lot of drugs in that boat. Trump. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. These came out of Venezuela. He later shared a video on his Truth Social platform that appeared to show footage, sorry about that, from overhead drones of a speedboat at sea exploding and then on fire. Nice, I'll have to watch that. Strike resulted in 11 terrorists killed in action. U.S. forces were harmed in this strike. Nice. Yeah, I'm for that. If you're piloting a bunch of illegal people, bunch of criminals, bringing in drugs and stuff, why arrest them? Why arrest them? Why seize the drugs? Just blow it out of the water. We don't know what's in that boat. Sure, drugs, but what if it's a biological weapon? Why bother? Just blow it up. We don't need these people in this world. We absolutely do not need them. Oh, this is the video right here.
Then on fire. This marks the first known.
Let's watch that again. Oh shit. Oh, here it is. Wow. Done. That's 11 people we did not need on our planet. Plain and simple. Don't need these kind of people. Just do not. Good stuff. Vampire Survivors, the board game. I just wanted to look at this real quick. Because I love Vampire Survivors. I don't play it as much anymore. But I've put quite a bit of time into it. So, but I was curious about the board game, how that would work out. Is it just a board game that has a ton of minis? Or, you know, is it just going to be like, oh, here's a card. On this card, it shows 100 enemies, and it has X amount of health, and you just have to whittle it down. So I'm kind of curious just how this would work as a board game. So I'm actually getting the... I kickstarted this thing right when it first announced. And it's supposed to be shipping in November now. It was supposed to be out in, I think, like July or June, but it got pushed out to November. There we go.
Welcome, Terrarians, to
this?
Terraria, the board game. A brand new...
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I love Terraria. It's my most played game by far on Steam. So it looks good though. One thing I hope is like I like playing Terraria in different ways. I like doing like hardcore mode where if you die your character's deleted. Had a very unfortunate day yesterday with that. I like going into journey mode, turning it on to master, and then putting 10 times spawn and just trying to play the game that way. I like playing with mods and all sorts of stuff. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing if there's just going to be one way to play, or if there's going to be kind of different rules that kind of change up the game. One game I've been playing a lot. Jesus. Type today. Is this one? We got it set up in my dining room right now. Super fun game. Slay the Spire board game. Very, very fun. And they have alternate rules that can kind of change how your game flows and whatnot. So, what I want to do though is I want to make my own custom character. I want to make a character that can heal. Nothing crazy, but I want to make a character that can kind of heal players, but also like, I don't know, build up some kind of resource system that can either damage or heal. But I'll make my own custom one at some point. So, all right, down to the last thing. I wanted to see 28 years later trailer that just dropped. I really enjoyed Bone Temple. Here we go. So I know this is gonna be not proper, so I'll have to figure out something in front of this later on. Actually, I probably shouldn't. It's because I'll get yelled at or something. But no sound. But I loved 28 Days Later. I didn't really care for 28 Weeks Later. I thought that was kind of awful. But I liked 28 Days Later. It was kind of that, it had that indie movie feel, the way it was filmed and everything. And it was filmed terribly, mind you. But I really enjoyed it. So I was really curious to see what this one's going to be about. Kind of looks like the world is completely taken over maybe by these things. You know what would be interesting? Because I guess, I don't know what to call them, the zombies, the whatever. They're not zombies. They're not dead. They're just infected by like a rabies type thing, basically rage, and it causes them to go ape shit and attack people and whatnot. So I'm kind of wondering if like, well, they have to eat and they have to drink. Basically, if they don't, they die. They do have a limit, then they die. So, but it'd be interesting if it mutated in such a way where they actually didn't have to eat and die and became more like zombies. And this, or what if like certain people? What if certain people what if the virus mutates and certain people, they keep their mind to an extent, but they become angry and rageful. That's what's kind of looking like. That, or it's just about people that, Mad Maxed and became crazy and just dominate in this post-apocalyptic world. But if you look at this dude's eyes, I think he's infected. His veins, everything. Like, what if the virus just mutated and now infected people are somewhat in control of it? They're just very freaking angry. I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be terrible, but we'll see. I'm hoping it's good, of course. All right. I just kind of want to go through one last little thing, see if there's anything interesting, and then I'm going to switch it up to playing some games. I might do some PUBG today, I think. So, Kim Jong-un introduced. Ew, gross. This is a 1,000 gram iron bar. Its raw value is at $100. If you choose to make it a horseshoe, its value will rise to $250. If you instead make sewing needles, the value will rise to about $70,000. If you make watch springs and gears, the value will rise to about $6 million. But if you make precision layers or parts from it, like those used in lithography, it'll be worth $15 million. Your value is not only in what you are made of, but most of all in how you make the best who you are. Well, yeah, I that's fine. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like, anybody can, I can give you a piece of wood, and that wood isn't worth anything. It's just a piece of goddamn wood. But if you then carve it into a piece of art, well, now that piece of wood, that little log, can now be worth thousands of dollars. So, but making these things, horseshoes, well, it's not that hard. You liquefy it, you pour it into a mold, you move on. But like some of the stuff, maybe that's about the same thing, but like the machines you have to, like, for a horseshoe, that's not a hard mold to make. But to make something, like springs and gears, that precision, the amount you have to invest to make that is insane. So, yeah, horseshoes, that's easy. This, expensive and hard. Every time I go on dating apps and ask people what their hobbies are, I'm reminded that travel is not a hobby, but a class indicator. Travel is a hobby, in fact. It's just not a hobby that everybody can afford. Just like, what do I want to say? Restoring classic cars, that is a hobby. Hobby not everybody can afford. Hobbies typically can get kind of expensive. It just depends. But yes, travel is a hobby. Is it a class indicator? I wouldn't say so. Just because I like to travel doesn't mean I can necessarily always afford it. So no, I don't agree. And I go on cruises a lot. It's one of the reasons I moved to Texas. I like cruises. And I've seen people on these cruises where you can just tell that these aren't people who come from a lot of money by any means, but they saved and they found a good deal, and now they're on this boat. So if you want to go on a cruise, if you want to go on a vacation, you know, to Italy or something, you can do it. You just have to save your damn money.
What's that?
Pass. Aw. Purposely crossed up his catcher. What?
Sends that one to left.
Hit him with this pitch.
Watching this one, that's a slam the other way. Just even more.
Oh. I see.
Just even more rare that both home runs today have come off the left-handed hitter's bat.
Oh, they don't look happy.
Only coming into this game, giving up one home run.
He looks
to a left-handed
angry.
hitter this season.
Step off. If I don't get these terms. Back of these women's uniforms. Ah, ah, ah. What is it? Damn, they got him. They caught the VH tapes. What is it? I'll just assume it's drugs. What is this? If you elect me, anyone who messes around on their phone in the movie theater will be sentenced to death. And none of that lethal injection shit. Firing squad, broadcast live on tube, landslide victory. Yeah. This actually is a thing. Like, said single issue voters. Like, when you ask people, like, why do you not like Trump? And it's like, oh, because he's against abortion or something. And it's like, okay, like, that's it. That's the only reason. Like, that's such a small thing, in my opinion. Like, there's so many issues. You got to really look at the whole picture. Actually, I have a thing. I don't think most people should be voting. I really don't. People are stupid.
Online now of the White House where a window is open to the residents upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably AI generated.
So
Actually, you can't open the windows, you know. Which is the window?
it looks like this is on the 15th Street side, I think. So right here.
Yeah, those windows are sealed. Those windows are they're all sealed. You can't open them. It's the kind of thing they do. And one of the problems we have with AI, it's both good and bad. If something happens really bad, just
This is on the 15th Street side, I think. If you
All right. Well, I think that's enough for me of the news today. I think I'm going to take a little break, get some breakfast. Then I think I'm going to hit up some PUBG today. So, but yeah. So for those that join me, I appreciate it. And I'll chop this up into like little videos and shorts later on. So, but yeah, you guys all have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one.